11,350 retrenchments happened in the first half of 2020. At the same time, there were fewer job openings to unemployment in Singapore, with only 0.57 job vacancies for every unemployed individual. With this kind of stats, like who in the right mind would leave the job? Me lah, okay? Okay, so basically in this video, I'm going to tell you the reason why I left my job in 2020. I'm going to cover 5 things. Who am I? What did I do previously? Where did I work? What are some of my highlights when I was working there? Why in the world did I leave that job in 2020? And the 5th one will be, do I regret leaving that job? So firstly, most of you may not know who I am. So my name is Nathaniel. I'm a videographer and photographer based in Singapore. Previously, I worked at Chef Louis. It's quite a well-known online food publication in Singapore. I was a video producer. My job was to find restaurants and interview the restaurant owners of the story behind the restaurant. Why did they open the restaurant? And there's quite a number of interesting stories, because as customers, we only see the final product, which is the meal that they serve, but we don't know the story. Okay, let me just briefly tell you how I got into the job in the first place. After army, I was applying for full-time jobs. The reason why I didn't go through the university route first was because in the creative industry, there's not really a need to have a degree, like a film degree, in order to work in like the media industry. All you have to do is just have a bit of skill, a bit of knowledge, and you're all set. You can probably find a job. Back then, in my portfolio, I only had travel videos. There wasn't really that much in my portfolio. So when I went for the interview, they told me to go home and do a video related to food. In my mind, I was thinking, should I just do, like buy some food, then get a very nice cinematic angles, cinematic shots of the food. That's probably what everyone does lah. So I was trying to think of something different, something that would be more interesting. I thought of filming my grandma cooking her signature buttermilk chicken recipe. That's one of my favorite dishes for my grandma lah. So that's why I made this video. I was interviewing her. Where did this recipe come from? Which apparently came from my great-grandfather or something. So you can find the video somewhere in my channel. It's called Cooking with Grandma. So I did that video and I sent it over to them. I think they quite liked the video. Maybe they saw some potential in me lah. But that was not the full reason why I got hired. There was another guy who was interviewing for the same job. Basically, like, he was the one that was offered the job in the first place. But the guy, he quoted his starting pay was really like quite high. It was a bit too high for that position. Whereas for me, during my interview, when they asked me what was my expected pay, I said, oh, just pay me whatever you think is fair. Okay, that's quite bad advice. Okay, don't ever do that. Before you go for any interview, right, just Google the average starting salary and maybe just say a bit higher than that. Because if you do idea, right, then you're basically going to start off like at the bottom lah. I mean, companies, they have to make money. So if you just give them like an open, like, oh, I don't have any expectation, obviously they'll just give you like the lowest. And I mean, that's pretty much what I got lah, the lowest. But at that time, I just wanted a full-time job, so I was okay to do it, because it's also part of my interest doing videography. Okay, so fast forward, doing the food stories, there's this one video that I did. It was a Japanese restaurant. I don't know if you have seen the video. Basically, it's about this guy who opened a Japanese restaurant in Singapore, and basically he lost $2.2 million on it. That video actually went viral. I think right now it's about 1.1 million views. And that was only maybe 4 or 5 months into my job, where I managed to just make this hit video. Back then, the channel didn't really have much subscribers, maybe like 15, 16k. Right now, I think it's about 80,000. Normally, food stories, the usual way is, before this, I was doing like a corporate job. Then, out of my passion, I started my own restaurant, my own business because of my passion. That's usually the story lah. For this guy, right, that wasn't his story at all. The whole concept was $2.2 million lost. I mean, that is something that's an amount that is, so unbelievably huge. I mean, who would want to hear that story after you hear someone lost 2.2 million opening a restaurant? Wouldn't you want to hear a story? I think because of that catchy title, that interest, that's what makes people like want to watch it. And maybe that's why it blew up and went viral. Yeah, so that's one of my highlights, in that job. And other than that, there's actually a lot of good things from the job. You get paid to eat. That's your job. There's no other job in the world that pays you to eat, right? Why did I leave the job? That's the question, right? Why did I leave the job? in 2020 some more. I left the job in February 2020. Lockdown happened, I think, around April. Can you imagine like leaving a job and then 1 month later, boom, lockdown? I mean, that's the worst time to be jobless, right? Voluntarily some more. Okay, in 2020, as you guys know, okay, Singapore wasn't spared from COVID-19. I mean, it was also hit quite badly as with the rest of the world. Let me just read you some figures, okay? Can you take a guess how many businesses shut down in 2020? About 28,000 businesses in Singapore from January 2020 to September 2020 have shut down. Okay, that's not all. Okay, let's talk about unemployment. Okay, according to this website, dollarsandscents.sg, 11,350 retrenchments happened in the first half of 2020. That's 11,300 people without a job. I mean, with a job one day and just retrenched. And that's not all, okay? An unprecedented 81,720 employees were placed on shorter work weeks or temporary layoff. Temporary layoff, okay? Don't even know whether it's temporary or not. At the same time, there were fewer job openings to unemployment in Singapore, with only 0.57 job vacancies for every unemployed individual. Means every 2 unemployed, only 1 person there's only opening for 1 job. It was quite bad lah. It was quite a bad time to be jobless and to be voluntarily jobless. I mean, it's one thing to be retrenched, I mean, it's out of your control. But with this kind of stats, like who in the right mind would leave the job? Me lah, okay? So I'm probably one of the only few people in Singapore that actually quit their job voluntarily in 2020. Okay, and let me just tell you the reasons why, okay? Okay, let me just clear up some misconception about SethLui.com. It's not just one guy typing the articles, okay? It's not just like Seth Lui himself typing the articles. It's actually a company with about 20 people, where there's like finance team, there's writing team, there's video team. I mean, there's interns. So it is like a media company that does food reviews. It's not just one guy writing reviews for like freaking thousands of restaurants. I mean, it's too much work. Yeah, but yeah, that's one of the misconceptions. One of the reasons why I left was in this kind of small media companies, there's not much room for growth in terms of pay-wise, in terms of creative-wise. For pay-wise, there's only a small team. Once you're a full-timer, you're already halfway to the top already. For in terms of progression, there's not much progression. It's not really like a long-lasting kind of job. It's quite a short to medium term, doing it for passion more than for pay. And the other thing is, creatively, there's also not much that you can do. Everything is about food. Food is your subject. That's the only thing that you can shoot. For me, as a young creative, I always want to grow. I always look for new things to do. Okay, 1 year might not be a long time for some people, but as a creative, if you're doing the same thing for 1 year, it really gets repetitive. That's also a reason like why I left. I mean, 2020, like COVID times, people might say like, oh, why you leave your job in? You had a full-time job and then you just left. Like before I left, there's like a lot of people, like especially the older people, who tell me like, hey, you already have a job and you're already secure with a full-time job. I mean, why do you want to just leave and just, it's a very risky thing to do. I mean, you have a stable job, it might not be much, but it's a stable pay. So they just tell me the pros and cons lah. I mean, of course it's stable. I mean, even though it's low, but it's stable. And you get to do something that you're good at, something that you also enjoy. But I really want to grow in and do other things as well. That was probably one of my main reasons like why I left. Like I couldn't pursue other things that I wanted to do. For example, weddings, video for products, do videos for weddings, photos for weddings, fashion. I mean, there's like a lot of things that I'm interested in, but I couldn't do it with like a full-time job. And okay, some people might tell me, okay, hey, you have a full-time job, you can also like do freelance on the side, right? Like weekends you can do freelance. But the thing is, like if I want to do freelance, right, okay, it's not like something that there's only weekends is available. Like for example, weddings, like not every wedding will be on a weekend, right? It might be on a weekday. And then I mean, it's just not possible for me to do freelance like videography and photography while like having a day job. That was basically my thinking lah. I took the risk to actually leave. As you know, in Singapore, the lockdown hit in April. And in that time, I really got to reflect on my decision. Do I regret it or not? Like just out of the job, ready to conquer, doing freelance, and then lockdown happened. So I really thought to myself whether I regretted leaving. Maybe I would have gotten a pay decrease or anything, but I would still have like income that I can at least survive. But I really thought to myself, you know, like thought seriously, like, did I make the right choice? But I told myself, okay, let's just wait it out. Maybe things will change. That's what I was telling myself. You really change the way that you think. From working under someone to doing your own thing, there's really a change of mindset. When you are working under someone, no matter what you do, right? Like, no matter how hard I work, there was, in terms of pay-wise, right, there's only so much I could get. There was no, like for example, sales, like if you do well, wow, you get this much commission or what. But for video, when you do well, like no matter how much effort you put in, there's only this little bit that you can get. When you're working for yourself, how much you want to earn is basically how hard you want to work. If you want to slog it out every day, do as many projects as you can, definitely the pay will be there also lah. And on the flip side, if you don't do anything, like lazy or what, then you're not going to get paid lah. Basically, you don't work, you don't eat. So there's a whole huge shift in mindset, having a full-time job to being on my own. I mean, the first time was actually to find another job, maybe find another media company that was hiring. But I was thinking, what if this kind of situation happened again? What if the pay will be maybe slightly similar and won't really see any increase? What if I get bored 1 year later? What am I going to do then? All these thoughts were coming to my mind, and I was thinking, okay, maybe I just do freelance lah and see how it goes. After the lockdown phase, that was when, you know, I began to do different kind of projects. As I mentioned earlier, one thing that I really wanted to try was wedding videography, wedding photography. One of the top female photographers in Singapore, Annabelle, I mean, she saw my potential, and you know, she actually worked with me for like some style shoots and some projects. When you work with someone like that, at that kind of like caliber, I mean, it really like ignites a passion in you. Like you want to be like them also. There's so much things to learn. I'm very grateful for all these kind of opportunities. I didn't even think like that was like I would work with someone like that. I didn't even know how I was gonna get like my wedding jobs. I got to see how she worked. I got to go on shoots with her. That's when I really got exposed doing wedding, and I feel like I really enjoy capturing someone's special moment that they'll cherish for the rest of their life. One of my close friends, Gerald, I mean, he's a damn good photographer, videographer. To work with him also, I mean, it's like working with Gerald, I mean, doing shoots with him with so much passion and so much skill that you look up to. I mean, it's like, wow, it's just a great feeling lah. I also experimented with product videography. I tried to do a watch ad in my room. So basically, I got this watch, this expensive watch, and just tried to make it look like a real watch ad. I mean, you can find the video somewhere in my channel. You can watch it lah. That's one of like my product videos. Yeah, and I also had quite a lot of fun. I filmed it in my own room. I mean, it took me about 7 hours to film the whole thing, but I mean, the end product is really, I feel like I was quite proud of my work after I finished that. I also explored into fashion. So I did fashion videography, fashion photography. How I started was helping out my friend actually. He's actually studying fashion media. So he had some fashion projects that needed a videographer. You can find the videos in my YouTube channel. Or maybe, I don't know if it's up yet, but one of the recent shoots I did was in the studio. And that's like a whole new environment for me. For me, who's used to working in restaurants where, you know, the chef is the one who knows what he's doing and he's doing all the food things. But in the studio, the photographer is the one who needs to know how to do everything. The technical things are given, like you have to know everything, like how everything is supposed to be, like the settings of everything you're supposed to use. For me, who has little to no studio experience, that's a whole new thing that I had to plunge into. I was also very proud of my work there, and I was very happy like filming it and editing it. I mean, you can check out the fashion videos that I've done to see for yourself. Other than that, I've also been doing food videography, doing like food photos, food videos for various companies for their social media. I've also started doing live stream. I mean, that's one skill that I had to pick up because of COVID, live streaming services was suddenly becoming like hot. On your own, you have to look for opportunities to make money. If not, I mean, live stream was one of the things that it was really a given that I really had to learn. Eventually, I also started my own company. If you ask me, do I regret leaving my job? If I didn't leave, right, I would still be working there today, doing the same thing, maybe like on my 2nd year already. So I would have been like 2 years doing the same thing. If I didn't leave, I wouldn't have experienced all these things. So if you ask me if I regret it, I would say no lah. Even though I left my job during COVID, during 2020, is it the worst time to start something or the best time to start something? Because only the strong companies get to survive. Only those who adapt digitally will get to survive. Being put in this position where, you know, there's so many opportunities of doing so many creative kind of work. And I really enjoy what I'm doing right now. I'm really glad that I could follow my passion in doing something that I'm interested in doing. I'm really one of those lucky few that get to say I enjoy going to work, enjoy doing what I do. So I think in that way I'm quite blessed. And I'm also thankful for everyone who, you know, gave me the opportunity to work on their projects. Even though I was a new freelancer back then, I mean, I still am now. And I'm looking forward to 2021 and more opportunities ahead. If you want to check out my current works, you can always feel free to come to my website at nathaniellim.com. So if you stay all the way, I mean, thanks for watching the video, of course. And thanks for staying and watching all the way. Listening to me talk. I know it's like quite a long video to hear me talk about stuff, but I'm just glad that you stay all the way lah. And yeah lah, so I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope to see you soon. Bye.